Hey guys, Dr. Shook here, and it's another sauna session. What I want to talk to you guys about is something that I hear very, very commonly. It's a common question that comes up, and that is, what is the best thyroid replacement hormone? And I'm going to just cut to the chase with the simple answer. There is no best hormone. Okay, that's the answer. There's no best hormone. It is, if you need thyroid hormone replacement, it's whatever's best for you and your unique needs is the best replacement. Okay, so what that means is it means that every single person is going to have different needs, and different types of medications can help them to meet those needs. So it's not just that one type of hormone is better than the other. It's really not at all. It is what hormone best fits your metabolic problems, the issues that you're having. So, obviously, if someone can improve Hashimoto's and improve their overall body's health and physiology, and maybe not need to take a thyroid hormone replacement, that'd be great. But a lot of people need to stay on thyroid hormones for their entire lifetime, and I'm going to tell you something. That's okay. Don't fight that so much. Because I know you don't want to take pills forever, right? But here's the thing: thyroid hormone is vital to life. You have to have it. And so by taking a very staunch position saying I'm not going to take a thyroid hormone replacement just out of principle, I don't think that's very wise. And I don't think that's wise at all, because every cell in your body requires thyroid hormone. If you're deficient without it, you won't develop, or you can degenerate. Your every cell in your body can degenerate, and in particular, one thing we don't want to degenerate is our brain, right? So the neurons in the brain require thyroid hormone. This is why children, if they don't have proper thyroid hormone as they're growing, they can have developmental delays, and it can really create major problems. So that's why it's usually screened at birth to see what's happening, to make sure that that's not an issue, because it's so critical. So listen, don't take just a staunch position and say I'm not going to take thyroid hormone. If you need it, you need to be taking it. If I needed to take it, I would take it. So I just want to share that with you guys. And getting back to, let's say, the best thyroid hormone. The issue with determining what the best thyroid hormone is just comes down to what you need. If you don't have to have one, then fantastic. If you can suppress or dampen your autoimmunity, if you have Hashimoto's, and you don't need then to take a replacement, then fantastic. And that's possible for some people, but it's not possible for everyone. And really, it shouldn't be an ultimate goal. If that's possible, then great. But if not, then don't worry about it. As long as you feel good, take the hormone, right, if you need it. So here's the thing. Let's say some people will say, I think Armour is best, or Synthroid, which is basically the same thing. They're desiccated natural NDTs, right? Natural desiccated thyroid hormones. So they are bioidentical, T4 and T3 in one pill, right? So it's bioidentical, meaning the hormone looks exactly like the hormone that your thyroid makes. So they're indistinguishable. So when you take, let's say, Armour, for example, you get a predetermined amount of T4 and a predetermined amount of T3. So both of the primary thyroid hormones, and that increases your levels. Now, that might be appropriate for someone. Let's say someone has, there are a lot of different defects or ways that the physiology can break down. And if you've seen my whiteboard video, I go through that in detail. So there's a few different places where I've seen these medications help someone in situations where another medication didn't. And so let me give you an example. So, like, for example, if they have, let's say, just low thyroid hormone output, right? Low output of T4 and T3. Let's say that's due to Hashimoto's, and the autoimmune attack is destroying the gland, destroying the TPO and the thyroglobulin inside the cells of the thyroid, and it's resulting in the thyroid not being able to put out hormone. Okay, let's just say that's occurring. Well, that might be a perfect scenario where someone could take Armour, possibly, and that Armour would give them a little bit of T4 and a little bit of T3, so they have both of the forms, and that might be able to bring their TSH down if their TSH is high, which typically indicates that there's low thyroid function. But that might be able to bring their TSH into a normal level and bring up their T4 and T3, and they feel better, right? Now, that same person might do well with, like, Synthroid, right? So Synthroid is a synthetic T4 hormone. It's well known as well. It is it's a hormone that you would take, and when you take synthetic T4, the situation there is that your liver and the hormone, the T4, has to be converted into T3, and that conversion process occurs primarily in the liver and in the GI tract, and it does occur some in peripheral tissues, but primarily in the liver, and then lesser so in the GI tract. But so it's a T4 to T3 conversion, because remember, T3 is the hormone that stimulates your cells and the physiology. Well, that same person that you gave Armour, they might do very well with Synthroid, but that Synthroid that T4 has to be converted into T3 by the body. Okay, so that might work well. But so here's a scenario where if the person has a problem with conversion, so some people don't convert T4 to T3 very well, and this could be maybe liver issues, maybe it could be GI tract issues, but they're not converting well. And when they don't convert T4 to T3, you want to look at that and you want to say, well, can we support the conversion process nutritionally, or might the person do better with something like an Armour that has a little combination of both? That way their body doesn't have to do the conversion, it's already in the medication. Or maybe they take something like Cytomel, which are medication that's a synthetic T3. So sometimes people will take two different pills. They'll take like a synthetic T4, like let's say Synthroid, and maybe a synthetic T3, like let's say Cytomel, and they'll take them, and typically at different times throughout the day. But so those are different scenarios where it might be appropriate, right? Where you can, that person, if they don't convert well, maybe they do better with like Armour, if they, or maybe adding some T3 in, and it really depends on what your doctor is comfortable with, and that's completely up to them and their management of you and what they feel familiar with and comfortable with. The thing is that really there's probably several different ways that you can support someone's thyroid with different medications and different philosophies and approaches to it. So I don't want you to think that there's one way or the other, that one medication's better than another. Another scenario where someone might do better with different hormones is, so for example, we know that if someone has Hashimoto's, their immune system's already attacking TPO, which is an enzyme inside the thyroid, and likely thyroglobulin, which is a protein inside the thyroid cells. So we already know it's attacking that. And so here's the thing. Just because we don't check it clinically doesn't mean that you're not attacking a lot of other tissues. We know that with Hashimoto's, there's probably about 12 to 18 different potential autoimmune targets, right? So we only talk about TPO and thyroglobulin as a target for the immune system with Hashimoto's, but in reality, a lot of other enzymes and tissues and hormones could be attacked with Hashimoto's. And in particular, you might be attacking your own thyroid hormone, right? So you might be attacking your T4 and your T3. Your immune system might actually be reacting to your own hormones. And so a scenario might be that someone takes like Armour or a natural hormone and maybe they feel worse with it. Now, there's a lot of potential reasons that you could feel worse, and sometimes it's impossible to really know exactly why you feel worse. You just need to observe how you feel and respect the fact that you need to trust your body, and you need to talk to your doctor about whatever kind of response you're having and see if it makes sense, and if you should try something else as far as medications go, or if you should hang in there. It's not a straightforward answer, right? But here's a scenario where maybe you take like something like one of these natural desiccated thyroid hormones, right, that I mentioned that have T4 and T3 in them, and it's bioidentical. And let's say that by chance the person that's taking it is reacting to their own thyroid, to their own T4, to their own T3, right? If they're reacting to their own hormone and they add this exogenous, or they take a pill, right? They take this thyroid hormone and they ingest it, might they might react to that hormone that's in that pill, meaning that it's kind of like, let's say you have this autoimmunity against your own T4, right? Well, when you take more T4 and it gets into circulation, it might look like there's this huge target, or this increase in this foreign invader, and your immune system see that and it flare up the immune system in a major way. That's a possibility. So something like that might cause someone that says, you know what, I'm going to take Armour, and they're really excited about it, and they take it and they feel possibly worse. And it's a possible mechanism. I know it helps a lot of people. So like Armour helps a lot of people, but I mean, you've got to just appreciate what's happening to you. Now, of course, if you can have information up front about what's happening with your physiology, like meaning looking at your thyroid from beginning to end, you might figure out what medication might fit better with you. I think that's a reasonable thing, but if you take something and you react negatively to it, like let's say it's one of the natural desiccated thyroids that I mentioned that have bioidentical T4, bioidentical T3, you take it, you might react to it. And if you react to it, then that might be a scenario where that might not be the best fit for you as a replacement, and maybe you need to be on a synthetic hormone. So let's say like Synthroid or levothyroxine, one of those. It's like let's say synthetic T4. But let's say you don't convert well, right? So that might be a scenario where they put you on the synthetic T4 and maybe Cytomel or something like that that's a synthetic T3. So you got a combination to help balance that out because you might not convert T4 to T3 well. And because those are synthetic forms of the hormone, your immune system does not recognize them and it will not attack them. So there's a scenario where maybe a synthetic might be better than the natural desiccated thyroid hormones. So, these are things that I've just observed, and I've learned from some other doctors, but these are things that I've observed. There's not really a best thyroid hormone replacement. And really what I encourage people to do is, every tool is valuable. Thyroid hormone, there's some people that I meet that are very opposed to taking hormones. And I'm like, look, if you need it, if it's vital to life, meaning you have to have it to live, man, that's not good to refuse to take it, in my opinion. I think you need it if you need it. And, thank goodness we have these hormones available to us. If we didn't, then it wouldn't be good. It would be a bad scenario. So what I try to encourage people to do is look at the overall picture, look at your overall basic foundational chemistry, look at your inflammatory markers. If you're autoimmune, look at the autoimmunity and see if there are things that are triggering the immune response, like food proteins, infections, environmental chemicals. Look at your cortisol, your stress hormone cortisol. See if your stress hormone cortisol is elevated or suppressed. If it is, then it can compromise your barrier systems that help to keep things from getting into the immune system into the bloodstream that shouldn't be there. And those things could trigger, it weakens these barriers and can make you more susceptible to reactivity to partially digesting food proteins and things I just mentioned. So you look for the drivers of the autoimmunity. You look at cortisol. You look at you look at even hormones, because hormones are important for recovery and repair of tissues. You do a lot of these things. You look at this overall picture. You look at diet. You look at blood sugar. You look at the ability of the person to carry oxygen, right? So you look to see if they're anemic or if they have anemic-like tendencies. You look for nutritional deficiencies, and you look at the overall picture of the person, and you try to support them where there are these weak links in their chemistry. And if you do that, then a lot of times you can see some really amazing changes in the person's overall health. And, might that allow them to suppress the autoimmunity or to dampen it enough that their thyroid makes enough hormone? Well, in some cases, maybe, but, in some cases, it's not going to occur. And the important thing to know is you just focus on getting as healthy as you can and doing the best that you can for yourself so that you can live a good life. And don't get caught up in some of the really tiny details, because a lot of these, I find that a lot of people have these really strong opinions on these medications. And, I think, there's better medications for individuals, but I think they're all valuable tools to help people. So instead of really butting heads with your doctors and we've got to be better partners, because listen, your doctors are overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed. They have so much of a burden on them to keep up at a certain pace. Listen, the healthcare system has become something that a lot of people that are in it are just appalled by, and we're just, kind of don't know what to do about it necessarily, because you become more of a pawn. You're not necessarily an administrator or someone that has great influence, right? You don't necessarily. So it takes massive effort to change the system that we have, to think more along these lines. And really, the things that I teach you guys, there's no money in this stuff. There's no big money, right? There's no long-term pharmaceuticals in most of this stuff. Pharmaceuticals are very valuable and they help us a lot, but for the most part, we're trying to help the person be healthy without the need for those things, if possible, or to get them off of medications, and for that matter, get them off of supplementation. I use nutritional supplementation, but we don't use that forever. We don't want to use that forever. We want to use that stuff temporarily to help support people, and then they can spurt dose certain vitamins, if like multivitamins, maybe taking essential fatty acids, maybe vitamin D, sometimes, there's some other protocols that you can have on hand in case you have flare-ups. But really, like long-term, taking lots and lots of vitamins is probably not a wise thing to do either. It's more beneficial if we look at a model of trying to be healthy from our food, right? But trying, we can use supplementation as tools initially to help us recover and try to heal as much as possible. I just wanted to share this with you guys. There's not really a best medication. It's like what's best for you, and that kind of looking at your overall foundational chemistry is the key. It's really the key in figuring out how to best help yourself, and then understanding your thyroid hormone physiology and chemistry. The more you know, the better decisions that you can typically make, as long as you can make sense of the information you have, right? That's also key. You could just be overloaded with information, which I know a lot of people are. And that's one of the reasons I'm trying to teach these classes. I'm trying to or do these types of videos. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. So there's not a best thyroid hormone replacement, right? There's just there's what's best for you and your particular physiology. Looking at the overall big picture and trying to support your systemic health and improve it. If you're autoimmune, remove the triggers of the autoimmunity the best we can. Support better immune regulation. Those are the keys. Those are the keys, really. That's what I see help people the most. And I just want to share that with you guys because they're big, major questions that come up, and it's so important that you understand this because a lot of people just think they keep chasing that perfect medication, and they don't realize sometimes that you really got to look at the whole picture because it's not just thyroid hormone quantities. That's actually the least common thing that I see that's causing someone to feel bad. Most people that I see, they have normal levels of thyroid hormone, but they can't use it. Their body can't use it well, and it's either inflammation or estrogens or conversion issues. There's all kinds of things that we see that occur, or autoimmunity. Those are the things that cause all the problems in the population that I see. And a lot of people are out there suffering like, man, I started thyroid hormone medications and I don't feel better. Or maybe they felt better initially, but then they stopped, the effect wore off. And that's like this Goldilocks kind of period, or this honeymoon phase. Honeymoon phase where someone takes thyroid hormone medications and they tend to have like an anti-inflammatory effect at first, but then once you start taking them, that effect wears off, and then the person, maybe inflammation is one of their big drivers of why they're not sensitive to their thyroid hormone. So when they take the medication, it decreases the inflammation, and then they feel better until that anti-inflammatory effect wears off. So maybe that's a month, maybe that's a few weeks. They get a new thyroid hormone and they're like, oh my God, I feel so good. It's amazing. So this is it. I knew that the desiccated thyroid hormone was going to be the thing for me. And then, a month, 2 months later, they're like, I don't feel good anymore. And it's because that anti-inflammatory effect is worn off. And really, folks, you're not addressing the drivers of the process, right? You're not addressing. Most people are autoimmune, and it's causing their hypothyroidism. The autoimmunity is not being addressed. The inflammation has never been checked, right? Like inflammatory levels have not been checked, homocysteine and C-reactive protein. And so these are the most common things that I see that cause major problems with people to be able to function well and feel well. So anyway, I just want to share that with you guys. I've gone on a long time on this topic, but it's a really important one because it comes up a lot, and there's just a lot of questions and I think misinformation. And look, anytime you take a really polarized position on some of these topics, I think we really run the risk and the jeopardy of being wrong. And I'm going to tell you, like, I'm not right about everything. I try to give you guys the best information that I can. But I love to learn from people, so I love to learn from my patients, my distance consulting clients, and people on the internet, other doctors, because we all have something to contribute, and there's just there needs to be more of this collaboration rather than resistance or fear, because there's a lot of doctors that are very fearful. Like the information that I'm telling you now, they don't understand it, and they don't know if it's true or not. That's just because they haven't been exposed to it, and it's not that and so they're just trying to protect you. How much time do they have? Like, I don't have time to research what all they do, so necessarily. It's one of those things where your doctors are trying to help you out. We got to be better partners with them. We got to encourage learning, and that's why I got to keep teaching videos. I got to keep teaching this stuff through video, so that you guys can become empowered, and so that more people can see this without me having to sit in front of 100 people or 1,000 people and teach it over and over and over. You can teach it once, We can get it out there and we can share it with people. So listen, I appreciate you guys. If you need anything, let me know. And please share this information with others. Okay, there's so many people, millions and millions and millions of people that have these problems that have no clue as to why. And that's what we're teaching here. We're trying to teach the why, right? So you can figure out how to help yourself and be as healthy as possible. So appreciate you guys. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me this sauna session.
Hey guys, Dr. Shook, thank you for viewing our videos. I hope they help you out. If you want to, just subscribe to our channel somewhere here. You can watch a video that YouTube's actually selected for you, so hopefully it'll help you out. If you need any other information or resources, just look in the description. We've got links to our website, to our 9 lab test guidebook, and everything else that we do. I really appreciate you, and I hope you guys have a great